to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary function. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually. Use of unorthodox grenade pins may be hazardous. Please remember to ration your rations. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually. Oxygen level adequate. Oxygen level adequate. Hull secure. pod drained. Engine running. Wasn't that easy? The engine is engaged and we are starting our ascent. Just sit back and relax. System malfunction. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually. Escape pod drained. Hull secure. Oxygen level adequate. Engine running. Wasn't that easy? The engine is engaged and we are starting our ascent. Just sit back and relax. System malfunction. Welcome to our state-of-the-art Zoraxis escape pod. An explosion has disabled primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually. Escape pod drained. Hull secure. Oxygen level adequate. Engine running. Wasn't that easy? The engine is engaged and we are starting our set. Just sit back and relax. System malfunction. Structural integrity failing. Hull secure. Would you like to vent oxygen? Venting oxygen. No leaks detected.
If I get the three things, well, I need to take a short little online class, and then I need to turn in two other things. Paperwork wise. After that, it's just a matter of waiting, because all the big stuff will be done, and it'll just be waiting for the whole process to run its course and see how it turns out. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to. I think I'd love to unpack more of that in a later.
Yeah, I mean, it can even be a whole topic. And it's not something I'm shy about. I mean, choices were made, um, and it's given me a good perspective on a lot of things, um, that I'm sure a lot of listeners could benefit from. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not shy in sharing that. And but I will say, make to all those listeners out there, make smart financial decisions.
For real, though.
That rule, commandment number one of financial responsibility: thou shalt not live on a credit card.
Thou shalt
That
not
is,
live off of quarterly payments or bi-weekly payments.
yep. It's yeah, but yeah. That's what I've got coming up this week.
That's I would say that sounds like fun, but no, it doesn't.
It
It sounds like
yeah,
it'll be a thing you'll survive, though. In all fairness,
it'll
so
be a,
like,
it'll be a thing. I'm not. It shouldn't. I don't think it'll be too bad. I mean, I wouldn't call it necessarily fun, but I don't think it'll be the worst experience I've ever had in my life. Um,
yeah,
it'll be like a bad trip to the bathroom. It'll suck for a little bit, and then it'll be over, and you'll be sore for a little bit for a little while afterwards, and then it'll be a thing of the past.
that works.
And yes, I did absolutely use defecation as a metaphor.
It works. It works.
It's apt.
And speaking of defecation, let's move on to the body. No, no.
I mean,
Let's let's talk. So let's. Normally, if this were a regular podcast, we would have a kind of a sponsor spot right here, but we don't have to sponsor. Nope, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to move on to the next part of the show. Let's just get on to the meat of the bones. The thickness between the legs. Let's get on to the fun part. So, Rooster Teeth.
yes,
Boy, howdy. I'm kind of.
yeah.
So let's just start with, are you surprised, first of all?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
I and I think you were kind of in the same boat. I don't want to correlate the two.
We don't necessarily want to poop on a business that has closed down and people that have lost their jobs.
But since their rebranding, I had the hunch that things were on the decline. Um, and actually, I read some stuff today that was, or did I read it today or yesterday? Over the weekend. Um, that I hadn't known, um, which made it less surprising. But yeah, I had a hunch when with the rebranding, and not to say the rebranding was a bad thing or what caused this whole thing, because
Definitely not.
I think this has been an eventuality for a while.
At least for a year or
Um,
two.
but I think the rebranding that was my clue, um, that they weren't doing as well as they used to be doing.
Yeah. 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 I wasn't surprised either. Yeah. Like, again, we don't want to poop on people that have lost their jobs and that kind of stuff, but like, I really hadn't followed it, and I guess it felt like a couple of years, but I guess really it's been about a year. And like Uno Infinite was the last thing I really
Yep.
cared about. And basically after Uno Infinite, they made they did like some of those laid people off. You know, they made like Matt like
Yeah.
part time, all that kind of stuff, and I just kind of was like, I'm done at this point because they had, they just made decisions that like did not track with me as a consumer, so I just stopped watching. However, I do want to read kind of just what they released if anyone hasn't read it for any shape or form, or maybe, you know, reading's hard and you just want to listen to someone read it. So I'll just start from the beginning. Dear Rooster Teeth community, over the years at Rooster Teeth, we aim to be direct in sharing news as it happens. It is with an extremely heavy heart this morning during our company all-hands meeting a very important announcement was made. We are grateful for our audience, our fans, and our community's support during this challenging time. As has been shared in other places and sent to press and our internal staff, a copy of the memo sent from the general manager of Rooster Teeth, Jordan Levin, is shared with you all in the next slides. Dear Rooster Teeth, since our founders created and uploaded their first video on the then called World Wide Web in 2003, Rooster Teeth has been a source of creativity, laughter, and lasting innovation in the wildly volatile media industry. We've read the headlines about industry-wide layoffs and closures, and you've heard me give my perspective and updates on the rapidly changing state of media and entertainment during each of our monthly all-hands meetings. Since inheriting ownership and control of Rooster Teeth from AT&T following its acquisition of Time Warner, Warner Brothers Discovery continued its investment in our company content and community. Now, however, it is with a heavy heart I announce that Rooster Teeth is shutting down due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage. Oops, wrong mouse. Please note the Roost team is not currently impacted by this action, as the Roost Podcast Network will continue operating and fulfilling its obligations while WBD evaluates outside interest in acquiring this growing asset. We have many questions to answer in the coming weeks and days, and the opportunity to work together to implement the best way to wind things down for us and our community. We are working through what comes next in real time, and we will be as open, direct, and accessible as possible. Thank you all in advance for your patience and support of one another. Let's take a moment to celebrate our 21-year contribution to the zeitgeist, advancing creativity and outlasting many of our peers from the early days of online video and digital-first content. And then they just talk about Rooster Teeth over the time. They do touch to the final season, though not intentional, is only appropriate that our last season of Red vs. Blue coincides with us navigating this closure together. Our legacy is not just a collection of content, but a history of pixels burned into our screens, minds, and hearts. Rooster Teeth has made an indelible mark on the media industry, and we should be so proud of the countless ways we pioneered a business connecting creators and content with a dedicated community. With respect, gratitude, and sincere appreciation, Jordan Levin. And that covers it by and large. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that I shouldn't say it doesn't bother me, but it does. I gotta find the actual part of it. For bugger's sake. Here we go. I will say some of the wording of this does bother me. One of the things that does bother me the most is like from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage. Basically saying, this is your guys' fault a little bit for not buying our stuff or watching our stuff as much. We're not valuable because you guys haven't been watching us as much.
Yeah.
That's about the only part of that bothered me. And unfortunately, I caught a part of their... Fortunately and unfortunately, I suppose, I caught part of their stream on Friday, I think it was. I don't remember the day, but I'm pretty sure it was Friday. of like basically their kind of last live stream, and Jack was on and Jeff was on and all the current people there were talking about it, and I caught a little bit of the stream, and it was the same guy kind of expressing the same thing, and people aren't watching just the same things as much, and and you gotta really support your favorite creators, and like, yeah, that's kind of what we do, and part of the reason why some of us stopped watching is because stuff just wasn't that entertaining anymore, dog.
Yeah, it's hard with a company like that. Like, and to use an example we mentioned earlier, I mean, Ray split off way, way early.
Yeah.
Um, and he's doing fantastic. And so it's, and I get as a company, you have to make broader stroke decisions.
For like the interest of all your shareholders and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's only, that said, you can't, if you have to make a decision that the consumers aren't going to like because your shareholders prefer it, it's not the consumer's fault for not liking what you did. It's
How dare the consumer take part of their right in choosing what they want?
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't blame the consumer for a poor decision made either by you or that you were forced into.
Or multiple poor decisions made by management over the course of
Yeah.
several years. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
And
And so
yeah.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, on that point, there's only so much that it's not wrong that the what the consumer wants has changed, and they're not consuming the same things. Um, that isn't true. I think a lot of consumers are still consuming the same things. You're just not giving those to them anymore. And that's the other thing is you can't really expect a consumer to, especially in a market like that, you can't expect a consumer to, you know, if you change your product for them to just be like, oh, well, it's made by the same people, so
You have to
I'm
watch
just going
it
to switch.
anyway.
So if it's like there's certain content that just does not interest me.
Yeah.
And so if you switch to that and you're like, well, I'm still the same guy making this content, well, now you're not making content I want. So I'm going to go find it somewhere else.
Yeah. And like, yeah. Like I
And
don't want to necessarily shit on everyone. Oops. I don't want to necessarily poop on everyone. Like that's the complicated thing. Like Jack, for example. It's like I kind of still wouldn't mind meeting him from every once in a while. Just be like, I really enjoyed some of the old Achievement Hunter stuff, and like I don't watch Inside Gaming, and like I kind of fell off, but like like I still appreciate some of the work they did, but like also like they just stopped again, like you said, they stopped making content that I wanted to watch. Like
yeah,
I never wanted to watch Inside Gaming. And if you ask me, I think part of the things that they did is they started making content that they knew would just consistently get likes, and then that put them into a really big rut, and I don't think they ever really recovered. But that's purely speculation, and honestly, part of this podcast, while is kind of discussing what we thought about them closing and our thoughts, I do kind of want to celebrate Rooster Teeth a little bit, because, like, we both did watch, or at least I watched I remember, it was about 2004, technically, that I started watching, but, like, I was a Red versus Blue OG guy. I still watch Red versus Blue from time to time, because I grew up like Red versus Blue was high school, and even my quote unquote college years, that was 14 years of my life. like I loved the idea of machinimating because of Red versus Blue. Storytelling and writing is part of who I am because of Red versus Blue. I have wanted to build a community for as long as Red versus Blue has been around.
Yeah.
Red versus Blue, Rooster Teeth is part of my personality at this point. If this was on camera, you'd be able to see my Red versus Blue posters behind me.
I will verify that. We are all over the place.
Yep, and we were talking about earlier. We were talking about going to RTX.
Hmm.
That RTX is still legitimately one of the highlights of my life because I remember getting to meet Josh Flanagan in that pop-up store.
Yep.
And I still have that Genlock shirt shrunk and doesn't fit me, but I still have it. I still have my hat and my pins. So
Yep.
I could keep talking
I
about.
was I was actually just wearing the hoodie that I got, not just the other day.
I think I'm
Pulled that
probably
out.
gonna wear my RTX hat all week, honestly.
And yeah, as much as we might talk down on, we weren't surprised and we kind of saw this coming and upper management made poor decisions that have potentially led to the closing of the company. I mean,
And there are other things that no one in the Rooster Teeth community really wants to talk about.
yeah, which and I
They're all
revisited
parts of the
some of
whole.
those. Yeah, I revisited some of those, and I mean, and going back and looking over a couple of them, like some of the things that were done were a little sketchy, but I mean, it's really hard to know without being more involved. Um, but overall, like you said, I mean, I mean, Jack, and I know, I mean,
He's
he and I would, he and I would disagree on a lot of things, um,
that aren't video game related,
that
basically.
aren't, yeah, that aren't video game related, but the impact that he had through, um, and now I'm going to forget the name of it.
Child's Play.
Um,
I think that's what it's called, right?
no, no, his, oh, they're the fundraiser.
Yeah, I thought that was Child's Play.
Was there was something else though? Where they raised money for it was like the 24-hour, or
Yeah.
it was like a week long. It was the week long stream. Um, oh God,
I know what you're talking about. I also
it
cannot
happened
remember
like
the specific name.
happened every November. Um, but that was and they always
Extra
raised
Life.
a extra life. That's what it was. I'm gonna say your internet's stronger than mine. You should look it up.
I have my internet
Um,
again, so yeah.
Extra Life made such an impact, and they've over the years they raised so much money. I mean,
Yeah.
that is huge. And without Rooster Teeth, I mean, without Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter never would have happened, and without Achievement Hunter, Jack would not have had that platform
Yep.
to do that, and the world would be a lesser place without that. Um, and 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 yeah, even well, and I was just before uh, earlier tonight. I was rewatching the old Minecraft Let's Plays,
Those are just
starting from
classic.
episode one, Plan G.
Oh, I might do that tonight, honestly. That might be fun to fall asleep to.
Yeah, and that's I mean that goes to say that our tastes, our taste in content did not change at the same pace that the content they were creating was changing. Um, yeah, when did I start? I started watching after you did, because you're actually the one who got me into Rooster Teeth. Um,
Yeah, that sounds about right. So at that you probably got around 2000. Well, let's see here. I would we I guess 0708 would have been the first year we might have met.
yeah, no, I would have been after that. So I probably watched.
You
I
yeah,
probably
you
started
probably didn't
watching.
watch it till we were living together.
So it was probably like 2009, 2010 ish.
Well, we didn't live together till after LT.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, maybe 2011 ish,
Like we,
late
we we hung
2011.
out and we knew each other and we were friends. Obviously, given that we went to distant worlds, but that was like 2009 if I remember right.
Yeah, whereabouts. That sounds about right.
So let's probably somewhere around between 2009 and 2011,
Yeah,
but
somewhere in
could
there.
have been maybe around 2011 because I think you got me into Doctor Who and I got you into Rooster Teeth, kind of.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and a lot of their other like their side projects, like I was never a big fan of, and I honestly have not watched them. I'll admit it, I have not watched a lot of Red versus Blue. I'm familiar with it, um, but I have not certainly not watched every episode. Um, but they definitely had an impact. I would even say Rooster Teeth itself had a huge impact on online content creation.
Oh, absolutely. I
Um,
there are probably, well, yeah, there's got to be thousands, if not millions, of people out there who make let's plays or tried it or make their own machinima series just because of Rooster Teeth.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, to say it, I certainly would not be able to say I'm glad that they're gone because I'm not.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, and my mourning process has been, and I think you're similar. The mourning process has been longer because they made, um, basically with I think when they were acquired by a bigger company, I think is when I felt like the decline was going to start happening because of, um, you just have that disconnect between the people sitting in the boardroom and the consumer at home.
Yeah. And I
And
and really what made, I think in my opinion, the some of that OG Rooster Teeth Achievement Hunter stuff was always the camaraderie and all that kind of the camaraderie, the chemistry between them all. And then when it became more about, well, we got to make sure we get consistently these views because now we've got to report and all this kind of stuff, like,
yeah,
yeah, I think that ultimately did it, like we've
when it
said.
was when it was them making their own decisions, like,
Yeah.
um, I remember, several projects that Jeff did just because he wanted to, not because he thought it was going to do well or
Yep.
that it was going to make them all the views or all the money. It was something that he wanted to just, it was an idea that he had that he wanted to see followed through on, and he could just do it. And I mean, there was a lot of risk in that, and
Huh.
I think that was the kind of content at least you and I really enjoy. I mean,
I
that
enjoyed when they
kind of,
tried going out as well. Yeah, like the hardcore mini golfs. The
oh yeah, yeah, uh what was it, Ghost?
oh, Achievement Hunter.
Yep, Achievement Hunter. I mean, those.
I enjoyed Achievement Hunter. I won't say I got as much into Achievement Hunter just because, like, I don't.
honestly,
it was always enjoyable, but it was never going to be appointment viewing, but it was
no.
fun to watch. Like
I think
that the
the
first
funnest
night.
parts. Yeah, the funnest parts for me were always is. I mean, some of them, and I won't name names, but some of them always felt a little stiff character wise because it wasn't their usual,
Mm.
but it was still fun. I mean, because Jeremy could just about fall into any role.
Oh yeah.
And let's be honest, watching them pick on Gavin was
It
some of
it
the,
was top.
yeah. That's another thing. You mentioned that earlier. Like, Rooster Teeth is such a part of your personality. There are so many things that I say that I picked up from Michael and Gavin.
Yeah.
Mostly Gavin. Like, just and I know a lot of the things he says is just normal British slang, but I don't I don't get that from anything else.
Yeah.
I got that from him. And there are some phrases that I'm pretty sure only he says that I say. I can think of one that I'm not going to say for sake of keeping this family friendly. Um,
One I had never heard until recently in one of the other podcasts I listened to that comes out of the UK area was I'd never heard like anyone else say like faff about.
oh yeah, faffing about.
Yep. Like
Yeah,
that's one that I like use from time to time that I learned from Gavin, and it is more of a British slangism again, but like yeah, that's one I use. Top notch,
mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff,
Um,
so
yeah, even some of the weirder, like the weird things that get, like I need to go get a bev,
Bevs,
a
yep.
bevy do, bevs, bevy do. Just the weird things that the way he would say it, and actually, it's yeah, you should definitely rewatch some of the first, because
Plan
I think
G.
I'm in episode like 5,
Oh yeah. The first like
and
handful of episodes are just classic.
I'm hearing all the old like inside jokes,
Mm.
like Flint Coal.
Ah,
I just heard the birth of Flint Coal, and
cool.
it hasn't taken hold yet, but it's
Slowly getting
and
there.
the
Michael
first
sucks at Minecraft.
yeah, the first Tower of Pimps.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's and there and even and it's and I think it'll be a lot of the same, because yeah, I think we've had our chance to let go because they've changed their content so much that we've become disinterested.
Hmm.
And not to say that, and that's not even to say that the content that they've been making isn't good, because it might very well be good,
Just
but it's
wasn't for
not.
us.
It wasn't for us.
Yep.
And oh, I was going somewhere with that and I lost it.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Uh, you don't have to apologize. It's the ADHD. Um, but yeah, that's what I think, because there were, and again, this goes with, there are certain things that probably contributed a little bit to the decline, the things that they probably don't want to talk about,
Yeah.
um, where personalities that we had grown to like turning out to be different off camera
Hmm.
drastically enough that, you know,
It ruins their credibility with not just it ruins not the credibility but the trust with the
yeah,
audience, and obviously it ruined trust within the offices too.
yeah. And so, having, been through that, I think this is kind of the same. Like, it kind of feels the same to me, at least. Like, okay, this is it's not intentional. We didn't see this. This was never the plan, but it's what happened.
Yeah.
Um, and there's still, I mean, yeah, there's still a lot that they've done that they've made that I'll
That's
probably still enjoy.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like I like probably even more so now will absolutely watch the final season of Red versus Blue because like they're bringing Bernie back for it. Like I will
Yeah,
say like that is my number one regret from RTX 2019 is I did not get his autograph. Like that
yeah,
man like has influenced me so much. And Bernie, if you ever hear this podcast for some unknown reason, um, please, we would love to have you on, and I would give my other testicle for an interview and a signature autograph.
I'll throw both of mine into that pot.
Um,
I mean, yeah, that's that though. That was the other hard thing, and I get that they were taken. You take certain directions in your life, um, and because this can be a topic for another episode, but there's another. Granted, his channels aren't going away, but he is stepping back for good reasons, and it's just that's how life goes.
yeah.
And the founders took a step back.
Well, I think I remember hearing at some one point that like Matt's kid had cancer, so like
Oh, that I didn't hear. Yeah,
that was on. I saw that on a Reddit. I never confirmed that for certain. So like that
yeah,
could be wrong, but like Matt like did like not the co-founder Matt Hullum like just completely disappeared at one point, and that would make a lot of
that would
sense.
that would make a lot of sense, and that's you can't fault someone for that because that's a
That's your
big
kid.
freaking deal. Yeah,
Like
that's
if my kid got cancer, my entire life would go on pause at that very second.
yeah, and Jeff was going through a lot of life changes. Um,
Yep. He was healing, you know.
yeah,
He like I
that
think
was
that's the I'm sorry, that's the weird part about all of this now especially is knowing that Jeff is in a healthier place.
yeah.
Like
That's that is probably along with like extra life. I guess extra life is more of a broader, but like even on a personal level, seeing Jeff's progression, starting out just this honestly, and I say this not to talk down to him because I've also been in similar situations where you're not the person you want to be.
yeah.
Um, when I say a wreck of a man, I don't mean it to be insulting or to put him down because sometimes you just get to that place and it's outside stuff that just it wears you down.
And I think
But
we can all
just
empathize with alcohol use and
oh yeah,
abuse. So like
and seeing the and that's the interesting thing about being um, an on-screen personality, whether it's digital media over the World Wide Web. Thanks, Jordan, for making me feel old as f. Um, uh, but whether you're on that platform or the silver screen or anything like that, like I getting to see the progression of things seemed okay, and then the rough times got rougher, and there were big changes in his life that happened, and then he made big positive changes, and he came out the other side, and even seeing the difference. I mean, again, that's an unintentional impact because you don't really plan for that. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, go into a company like, oh, I feel terrible, or my life's falling apart. But I'm planning on, in 5 years from now, I'm gonna get everything back together, and I'm gonna be the Cinderella story. You can't plan for that. But seeing that, and that's the other thing is, you get to that healthier place, and sometimes there are things that you need to change how you interact with in your life. And so, I know Jeff stepped back a little bit from a lot of things with Achievement Hunter.
Oh yeah, like he left that to Alfredo, or not Alfredo, but Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah, it was basically he gave it to Trevor. It was Trevor's baby, and he was just, a cameo, a
Yeah.
pretty regular cameo, but he was just another one of the guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's the thing with life is those things change, but with that comes the reality that not everything changes together, if that makes sense.
I think so. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, like not everything changes at not everyone
at
changes
the
at the
same
same
pace.
pace. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my tastes are not gonna evolve at the same pace and into the same thing that, you know, Warner Brothers or whoever
Yep.
at the time owns them and wants them to make because they want the views, they want the clicks, they want the ad revenue. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I missed about, and that's kind of where I fell off was when they got bought.
Well,
And I,
see, they
from a
got
business
bought
standpoint,
multiple times though. That's the confusing thing.
yeah, it was really when they lost their own. I guess they didn't really lose it, but when
I think when they got
the
bought by here you go.
Warner,
It may have been Warner. Because here's the thing. The frustrating thing is they got bought. But I shouldn't say frustrating. The complicated thing is they got bought multiple times. Like because the first was like full screen, then full screen got bought by someone, and then it got bought by AT&T, and then AT&T and then it got purchased by Time Warner, and then Time Warner became Warner Brothers Discovery. Like there's enough transitions where like I can't imagine being like actually working at Rooster Teeth in the middle of all of that chaos, frankly, because it would affect at least the higher ups, which then
oh
would
yeah,
have an impact on everyone underneath them.
yeah, and the bigger those companies get,
The more you have
the
to.
more it is about what you're reporting to them.
Yep.
Because the stat that I read was that Rooster Teeth was operating at loss for many years, or has been operating at loss for many years, which, a lot of, because they don't sell a lot, and they never have, especially in the beginning. It was never, like, you had your first memberships,
Yeah, they were
but,
supported pretty
like,
much by first memberships and merch.
and, you get these bigger companies that are expecting big things, and a company like Rooster Teeth's not going to be able to keep up with that. They're not going to be able to meet that expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not without huge drastic changes and basically becoming something else entirely.
Yeah.
And so it's just
It is, yeah. Like
I,
we could probably go on. Like frankly, I think there are probably podcasts and very significantly more educated, but I think there's could be so many topics just on the operational stuff that could have gone on in the background and things that could have been different and changed. Yeah, like
I mean, business is complicated. That's why
business
I'm
is
not.
super complicated.
That's why I didn't get into it.
Yeah, I again, I could go into things that I think I would have done operationally different, but I'm not them, you know.
Yeah,
So like, the whole point of this is not to poo-poo anything that any mistakes that we think that they've made or yada yada. Like, it is. We can't change
Yeah.
that. It is what it is. Like, it just sucks that they're operating at a loss for years. A lot of their initial stuff that they did that I know like was they did like their side projects were doing advertising, like they were doing like they would get game engine videos for GameStop or for like other commercials, and they would direct commercials and that kind of stuff. So I know that was
Yeah.
some of their income at the very beginning, but like certainly with Achievement Hunter, and when they started taking risks with, and like like operating at a loss and taking risks, and it's so complicated.
It is, and especially when you're making when your business is to create a consumable.
Yeah, and their content
You're
was always pretty on the edgy side, which wasn't always advertiser friendly.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I think so. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, it's it's sad a lot of those people are going to lose their jobs. Like I wouldn't say I'm happy about it
No, the
because I mean, even if I don't like what they're doing, someone does,
hmm
and that's what's important.
and they still have people that they have to support, or at the
And
very least themselves.
yeah, I think, I hope that all of them find a new place and they, find a place to land
Yeah,
on their feet.
I feel like some of the bigger names will absolutely land easily. I feel like I can't imagine like Trevor having a hard time finding a landing spot,
No. And
but
there's a
like
lot that have probably mildly unintentionally, because I know Gavin's big baby,
the
his
slow-mo
big
guys.
fallback plan started before he started or joined Rooster Teeth and has only grown since. So he's going to be fine.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
he wasn't even that featured anymore because he's been busy with the slow-mo guys, and
yeah, they've been booming. But like, I know, like Ray went off on his own. Um, honestly, I don't know. I see Michael's stuff on Instagram. Um,
yeah, he's one of the one like they're part of like the Rooster Network. That's the podcast stuff, the whatever they called
yeah,
it.
it'll be, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what changes because the way he said it sounds like something's going to stay. It's just going to look what we knew it as will be gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
and maybe that is the next step in the evolution is that change. And for OGs like us, I mean, maybe they will make something that we'll, dive into, um, but maybe they won't.
yeah.
And
They'll do what they do, and if like I like it, I'll watch it. And if I
yeah,
don't want to watch it, I don't want to watch it. And I hope that people will watch that like their stuff will watch their stuff. Like that's
yeah,
all I can really hope for at this point. Like
yeah.
I want the
And
best.
am I sad they're not making content specifically to my taste? Yes. Do I understand that I am not the center of the universe? Most of the time. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
I have my moments. And but that said, I do like going back and watching the old stuff, and I mean they've made a positive impact. It's not been for nothing, I would say.
Oh yeah, definitely not for nothing.
And yeah, granted, I mean, and they've had their ups and downs, and they've had their controversies, and that's the other fickle thing is I had that a similar discussion recently with someone about something political. I won't go into details, but it's like, and I know you know the situation I'm talking about, and I'm sure anybody who knows Rooster Teeth can figure out what I'm talking about. But the way they handled the situation and the way they treated certain people, was it the best? Did they do everything right? Probably not. But that's, and I hate to say it because it sounds so disingenuous and so calloused, but that's kind of the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Like for me working in a, spending my 9 to 5 in a
A mechanic shop.
mechanic shop. I mean, I know certain people who would not last 5 minutes in that environment because of a lot of the stuff that we do purely in jest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just of the environment that it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, did they handle that well? I would say no, probably not. But so it's hard to, and you can go broad strokes with that, but so it's hard to say that, you know, certain people were absolutely right and certain people were absolutely wrong because there's so much gray area, and
There's a lot
that's
of
been the
nuance.
that's been the hardest part for me in a lot of those situations, um, even beyond Rooster Teeth, but specifically with the Rooster Teeth situations, is that nuance is I can't, and especially I'm a big proponent of, I'm not going to make an absolute judgment on a situation without knowing the context. If I don't know the context, I have no room to judge because there could be information I'm missing. Why did this person do this? Um,
Yep.
and honestly, I mean, that's been a part of my life recently is people making decisions that impact me based on the information that they're given, whether accurate or complete or not. And so I don't like to. So, granted, with the information that we did have, that we did get, there were some things that were done that probably shouldn't have been. Better decisions could have been made.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's. I think overall, the bottom line is a positive impact.
I agree.
Um,
I agree with that. Bottom line, definitely a positive impact. Yeah, I think we've said a lot that could be said about that positive impact, just on our
yeah,
personalities and on the world in general. I guess I'll just I guess we'll just wrap things up with a few basic questions. Basic, I
yeah.
say. What would you say is your favorite series? You have to choose one single favorite series.
You want me to answer this now, or
Yes, right? Like on the spot, you can always give a different answer later, but on the spot right now, what would you say is your number one favorite series?
such a hard question? There were so many good ones. I think definitely towards the top of the list, vying for first place would be the Minecraft Let's Plays. Um, the series as a whole was just the interaction that they had in terms of, because I would feel disingenuous. Like I enjoyed like Genlock, but that's such a high production, and they had some big names attached to it. But purely just them doing them, either Minecraft Let's Plays or, I mean, Plapes. You gotta love the Plapes.
Play Pals is good.
But yeah, I think my top one would be the Minecraft Let's Play series.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've already said my favorite series, but definitely Red versus Blue. I mean, it's what
Yeah,
got me
it's
started. It is me in a lot of regards. Like a lot of my, I should say some of my irreverence comes from Red versus Blue. Absolutely, some of my I've always kind of liked the. Yeah, Red versus Blue has had a lot of influence on my life personally. So that's got to be
yeah.
my favorite series. I
I think for both of us, I think we've picked the ones that got us started.
Yeah, which it shouldn't be surprising.
No, that's yeah, honestly, because yeah, there were so many good ones.
Yeah. Do you now
12 Little Roosters.
if to take the difficulty up to 11? Do you have a
Okay.
favorite video?
Ooh.
And I could add think of a video
I
that you could watch every time that just brings a smile back to your face every time.
see. It's hard to pick a video because the videos all blend together. But I will say I can pick a moment.
Okay, I'll take
Um,
that.
one of my favorite moments was in a GTA Let's Play. The GTA Let's Plays were also some top notch
Those are some
entertainment.
great entertainment.
But one of my all time favorite moments is when they were fooling around with putting buses on planes. And Gavin is flying the plane. And Ryan is driving the bus. And then Michael and Ray are in the back seat. They're talking about one of the Pokemon games. Totally oblivious. Gavin is flying. And Ryan's kind of in the middle, just watching. Not really, he's not involved in the Pokemon conversation, and he's
Of
kind of
course
just
not.
watching what Gavin is doing. And he realizes what Gavin is doing, and he's like, "Gavin, what are you doing?" And Gavin places the bus on the top of the maze bank with a plane, and it's just the candidness, the just the two uh, lads in the back having no idea what's going on, and Ryan up front going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you? What's going on?" It's just that that honestly sums up a lot of what I loved about the Let's Plays was just a bunch of nerds faffing about in a video game,
Nice.
pushing the limits.
Yeah. I boy, I was good. I think my favorite video that I can almost watch every time. I think it's got to be one of the behind the scenes videos, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, honestly, I can watch any of those behind the scenes videos by and large and just immediately smile. If I had to choose a favorite, I would definitely. I think it's going to be the Jeremy breaking Gavin's desk with the kick.
Yep. The drop kick. Yep.
Just every time, it's just glorious. It just breaks, and everyone's like, "Why?" And it's like, "I told you what happened." It's just pure chaos, and it's wonderful. It just brings a smile to my face. I think there's something about that video that I just gravitate towards. I think it's probably again. I think it's just the chemistry as everything is. It's just the
Yeah.
way that they knew that they could poke their buttons and they could just create chaos and that kind of stuff. That was, yeah, easily. I think that's one of my favorite videos that I can just go back to. I honestly
That's
may watch it before bed tonight just cause.
yeah. Oh, I guess if I had to pick a full video, one of my favorite videos is also a behind the scenes. Speaking of Matt Holm, because it happens in his office. Part of it happens in his office. It's which I think later. Well, yeah, I knew it was. I found out later it was staged, but it's still because most of his rage quits were staged.
Oh yeah.
But it was the behind the scenes. I forget what game he was playing, but it's the one where he rage quits and he grabs the Xbox and walks into Matt's office and just chucks it out the window, and then it pans up to Matt, and Matt's like got this look on his face like a deer in the headlights, like I don't know what's going on, and
Yep.
it's such a good video.
That's great. For Uno the movie still has a special place.
Mm-hmm.
I admittedly haven't watched it in a while. For reasons. What the other one is Jenga. That's another good one.
Mm-hmm.
But
There were some.
I guess we've probably touched on this a little bit. But what over all the years that you watched, who was your favorite personality?
That's a hard one to answer.
Are you able to answer it safely?
I mean, I'll frame it this way. At the time that he was my favorite,
Yeah.
I would be completely okay with saying it. And granted, did he do anything totally illegal? No. Was it shady as F? Yes. Um,
I think.
but it would either be so like in hindsight, he's knocked down a few pegs.
Yeah.
So now the answer is probably even that's a hard one.
Right.
Because it's like, how do you pick just one? Because there's combinations.
That's true. Because you
But,
kind of
I
see
mean,
yourself in a little bit of in your favorites,
yeah.
you know.
Because, like, I mean, I love Gavin, but Team Nice Dynamite just,
And there's nothing better than Team Nice Dynamite.
yeah. But there were a lot of quips and one-liners and things that Ryan did that I enjoyed at the time.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, you kind of have to detach yourself a little bit. And that's another thing is, you know, some of that older stuff, because I harken back to a discussion that I had totally unrelated to any of this, but I was talking to an old mentor of mine about musical tastes. And there were certain artists that he would not listen to at all because of their lifestyle choices. And that is just, I mean, that's personal choice. But their music played a big role in my upbringing. And so, you know, a lot of Ryan's old stuff is, and honestly, that's been actually just tonight an interesting thing because, you know, some of them talked about like the Edgar scene. You know, it looks differently now, knowing what we know now.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I guess this kind of touches on the point of how some of the inner office interactions were handled. But even watching the first few Minecraft Let's Plays, I mean, And if you watch them tonight, you'll hear it. One of the people, and I won't say names, and you can go look it up if you want, but there's a lot of the go kill yourself joke thrown around in there. And that's a dangerous, touchy one
Yeah.
to play with. Because that's, I mean, so it's, and
Yeah.
it goes back to the environment, the, with where you're working, and, some of those jokes are made, and you have to understand that they're jokes. Are they necessarily in good taste? Not always. Um, because that's even within the community who has a more personal understanding of suicide and suicide jokes and stuff like that. Some people can joke it about it and it's fine. Others, no.
Yep.
It's a no-go. And so the short answer is, at the time, Ryan was one of my favorites.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm comfortable saying that, because, I mean, granted, if it's taken out of context, then whoever takes this out of context can,
It's on
shove
them.
it up. Yeah, because like I said earlier, context, judge it in context.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my long and short answer to that.
Okay. That's fair. I think my favorite personality, and I'll be honest, I'm the type where, like, yeah, like Ryan would have been one of mine. Like, was never gonna be like my top. I don't think, because I think
Yeah,
frankly that probably goes to Ray. Honestly, the
Ray
more I
was a
think
good
about it, it's
one.
just I'm pretty sure he's my favorite personality. Um, Gavin would be right up there as well, but like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm the type that's a little more like it just kind of forever taints it. Like, so
Yeah,
like I get it. I'm like Ryan's kind of was one of mine, but like I think Ray is just kind of my all, just the, because he's the one that, like, even when his stuff pops up on YouTube and I'll watch it from time to time because it's just, he's entertaining.
yeah,
And he was always good at being entertaining, and when he had people to work off like Gavin and Ryan or
oh, yeah,
Michael or Jeff, like anytime, like he just works off people so well, honestly.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
and it's really hard to pick just one.
it's fair. Like, yeah, yeah, it was hard to pick just one, but that's why I asked the question,
Yeah,
because
yeah, you gotta ask the hard
you gotta ask
questions.
the hard question. And I would say, how do we feel ultimately? But we've really answered that question, I think, several times over.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that mostly covers it. I mean, really, I think we've kind of talked about as much as there can be kind of processed about Rooster Teeth. Like, it's just,
yeah,
it's disappointing. I empathize for all the people whose jobs and lives are affected by this. I want the best for all of them. Like, no one wants
definitely.
to be out of a job. Presumably there are parents and those people that are trying to
Yeah,
figure out how they're going to take care of their kids. There are potentially partners. I don't know if Trevor and Barbara are still together, but assuming they are, like, this affects both of their lives heavily.
yeah.
Um, so it
Well,
sucks.
Michael and Lindsay, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
they
I
both.
know Lindsay's VTubing now. I know that much.
Is she?
Yes, like she does a Ruby VTube. So
That's right. She's got Ruby.
yeah. So like, there's some of them that I think are gonna land. They're just fine, and honestly, Trevor and Barbara might be a part of the group that lands just fine. But there are definitely people in those groups that whose names we don't know. that their lives have been affected within the past week, and they're scrambling to find a job, and no one wants to feel that way. So like I think we both empathize for all of them. And it's super disappointing. But yeah, I think we've kind of covered it for the most part. Again, we wish everyone the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say overall, all of them have played a part in the
lives.
company, and the company
Oh yeah,
has played a part in our lives.
Yeah.
So, shout out to the behind the scenes, the editors, the
Larrys that we
camera.
didn't get to know.
Yeah, exactly. That, helped make all the moments that we just talked about, the videos that are ingrained in our minds.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there were so many editors over the years. Yeah, and it's grateful everyone, even all the the animators for Ruby, Red versus Blue, Genlock, just the teams of people that made content that we enjoyed, that affected us, that helped us get through things. That it's sad. We mourn it. Wish everyone the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I hope to see maybe some of them pop up in my YouTube feeds. I know, Jeremy still pops up, and I'm subscribed to Jeremy and Ray on YouTube, and I hope to see some of them more pop up every once in a while. And if they make something that I find that's interesting, then I'll definitely watch it, because a lot of them were lucky enough to have a platform, and some of them I hope go to work on things I enjoy elsewhere too, because I'm sure there are animators there who might be working on video games now that we play, and writers. I know Miles Luna writes video game, he's a writer on video games, and he hasn't been working for Rooster Teeth for a couple of years or so. So yeah, big thank you to everyone who worked there at Rooster Teeth for over all the years. Once again, a humongous shout out to Bernie. Please come join the come join the Friendly Sessions podcast. The Friend Sessions, not the Friendly Sessions.
I don't know. Now that you said that,
the Friendly Sessions.
Yeah.
It's easy to fix. It's easy to change. It ain't nothing but a thing.
We're new enough. Yeah,
we're figuring it out as we go.
We'll percolate. We'll let that one percolate a little bit.
Yeah,
let it simmer.
But yeah, so I think we've covered it all, guys. If you have enjoyed this at all, guys, we would really appreciate if you give us a like and a subscribe. We know this is going to be kind of a long one for our first episode, but Rooster Teeth was a big chunk of both of our lives.
And honestly, you could say that it was even, part of the inspiration for either of us even wanting to do something like this.
Oh, abso-freaking-lutely. There's a part of me that doesn't want to stop trying to create things till I find that one thing that clicks, like Red versus Blue did,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can only hope that this is it, but we'll keep trying, and I'll keep involving the people that want to be around me, because I think that's the other thing, that if I could crash land this podcast with just a final kind of closing thought, is just I think that was the other thing that made Rooster Teeth and Red versus Blue and all that just fun, it was friends doing something together and having fun.
Yeah.
And yes, going through hard stuff. Friends going through hard stuff, working hard, and it not always being easy, and them building something that lasted as long as it did and affected as many people as it did. That is something that I aspire to.
It's definitely a legacy.
Yeah. And Rooster Teeth has left a legacy on millions of people, and that is something that we can only hope to do. And as again, guys, thank you. If you're still listening, thank you so very much. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think we'll just kind of end it there, and just once again, to everyone who worked at Rooster Teeth, thank you guys so much for everything you've done.
And yeah, if you're listening, I assume we'll have a comment section.
Absolutely.
You know,
This is
answer the same questions we answered ourselves.
Yes.
What was your favorite? Throw those down there.
We want to know.
Celebrate. We want to know.
Memento
Maybe
mori,
there was a
right?
good moment. Exactly, memento mori. That's. I don't know what that's from.
I think it's from
Doesn't
something.
exist.
My memory
Something.
forgets what it was called, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, and oh gosh, that's it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll go back to here. This is another cool thing about Rooster Teeth. They worked on they helped with a heist with Markiplier. Like they were
Did
the
they?
production crew.
No, yeah. I mean, I absolutely believe it. Like,
Because he was in Austin filming a heist, and like Gavin has a cameo in a heist.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
Yeah. Sorry, like Crashland, but yeah, like Rooster Teeth helped with Markiplier in a heist with Markiplier.
It's
like
such all the collaborations. Like it's yeah.
Yeah. I again, like once more, like Rooster Teeth, y'all are so cool. It's been so much fun watching their stuff, and
it's been a hell of a ride. And if I could go back and do it all again, absolutely.
So yeah, once again, leave us a comment down below telling us your favorite series, your favorite video, your favorite personality.
Remember them with us.
Yeah. Let's celebrate.
And
we can all
celebrate them.
Celebrate. Yes. Let's just celebrate memento mori. Like, tell us what you think, and it may be a little bit till our next podcast. We're figuring things out, but if you want to do us a big solid, just share this, listen to it, leave us a comment, and we'll see you guys the next time. We'll see or listen to you guys, whatever you want to say. We'll see you guys in the comments next time.
Yeah, we need to come up with our own catchphrase. We've been listening to everyone else's catchphrase. Like, we can't say we'll see you in the next one. That's Mark's.
That's Mark's. Yeah, I don't. We'll till next time we light up.
I like it. We'll play with that one. We'll experiment with that one.
Till we meet again. I don't know. I guess until. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want?
Hey. Yeah, until we meet again, we'll stick with that one for the first one. It'll change. We'll get there.
We'll figure it out. We'll just crash land. We'll see you guys in the next podcast. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.